Now that we've touched base on material variants, the next element we should cover are other elements that you see here inside of the material card. And we're going to repeat ourselves a few times as we're going through this process, so please bear with me. But starting off with categories. So category for material is a name or a certain categorization that you would give to that specific item in order to easily reference it within a family or a group of items. An example of a category here we have is components. Sometimes you might use hardware, for example, if you're dealing with nuts and bolts and hinges or whatever it might be. In this case, since this demo data reflects a manufacturing company of furniture. And this categorical classification is available in different parts of the application, not just what you've already seen in settings, but it's available on the stock screen, so you could filter by category. It's available even on the manufacturing screen, so you can filter manufacturing orders by category, and that's applied to products though. And that gives you the ability to do some filtering and editing as needed whenever you're trying to organize how you're looking at your items, how you're looking at your stock, or even how you're managing your manufacturing process. The next element here is a unit of measure. And the unit of measure is very important in Katana. We recommend that you pick a unit of measure that is related to how you define the quantity used of that particular material in a product that you're manufacturing. So for example, when I'm tracking paint by the liter, I'm actually using liters as the input unit of measure for the creation of my bill of material on a table or a chair that I would manufacture when I'm using paint as the item to make it. So unit of measure is very important, and also the unit of measure is tracked in terms of cost against that particular unit. So for example, if I buy 1 liter of paint, then 1 liter of paint will carry that amount of cost. And so costing, not just in terms of number of liters of stock you would have, but also in terms of costing, how much did you pay for that 1 liter of paint? So that's unit of measure. And do keep that in mind as we move forward into the series, especially as we're coming up into the bringing your data over and defining things like bill of material and recipes and operations. Now the next area is where you would choose whether you track batch or lot numbers on that material. Now we'll cover batch numbers in more detail later, but if you're watching this video and you come from an industry where batch tracking is necessary, you can upgrade to the Pro package and click on this checkbox. And what this checkbox will do is it will allow you to add batch numbers to any material you receive on a purchase order. So you can specify what materials are batch trackable using this checkbox here. This next field called default supplier is the default supplier field that provides the reference for any time you generate a purchase order. It will automatically create the PO for this specific supplier automatically. And if you have multiple materials that have the same default supplier, Katana will automatically aggregate a purchase order with that one supplier in mind, where that default supplier is listed on the material card for all of the items in a single PO. So it makes creation of purchase orders very quick. And that is the key advantage of the default supplier functionality. And this is why we have it in Katana. And then we have a functionality called unit conversion. And unit conversion is very simply put, if you are buying, let's say, this paint from a supplier, but instead of it coming in 1 liter containers, it comes in 10 liter containers, then you can actually set a unit conversion where you define the unit of measure, which might be 10 liter, container. I'll just keep it short. And then that 10-liter container, every time you buy one of those from a supplier, it converts the 1 unit of 10 liters into 10 liters of stock. And then the unit conversion rate would be 10 liters for every one 10-liter container. So the reason why we have this is if you issue purchase orders and your supplier supplies that item in a different unit, then Katana makes it possible to convert the unit into the way you track it, and also convert the cost into the way that the item is costed out per liter. I'll move my head over here to the right side and go a little bit over this additional information section and what this is used for and what it can be used for. So in this additional info section, anything that's relevant that pertains to that material, you can add additional info here. Customers generally will use this field for simple things like taking notes on what should be the minimum order quantities of that particular material or those material variants. You can also add hyperlinks. Hyperlinks would give you an indicator where you want to go into, let's say, the supplier's website page and take a look at that item prior to purchase. It can include special notes from members of your staff that might be relevant whenever you're exchanging information across the platform. And yeah, so there's a lot of things you can use it for. It's just a simple text field with a little bit of editing capabilities and formatting, and it is useful for different purposes. Now, the last bits of this material card that are worth looking at and taking a note of are this triple dot section in the top right. And this triple dot section contains the duplicate and delete option. So if you have an existing material and you maybe are entering your data and you want to create a duplicate of that material and just kind of slightly modify it, you can also do that. It helps speed up the process of getting your data all sorted in your Katana account. And Katana does something called auto saving. So something that you might want to keep an eye on is when you're using the product, you want to make sure that you don't see any red lines anywhere. If there's a red line, then it means something didn't save and there's a problem that needs to be solved. Usually this is happening whenever something is not filled out. And then we have the X here as well, which you can just press it and it takes you to a previous screen. I will delete this conversion rate as I don't need it, and then I'll choose the X. And I'm back into my material items page.